Punch the keys, for God's sake! Yes! Yes!
Punch those keys for sure. Gen Z and Gen Alpha seem like they are definitely ready to take the writing plunge, and I don't blame them because I think it's exhilarating to connect with a typewriter. I've gotten into wanting to collect typewriters as of late. I love the aesthetic. I love the sound. I love how they glow. There's just something about that instrument that helps to make it make sense. I love that. But it's not for the faint at heart, and yet writing can look deceptively easy. There's nothing to writing at all, so it seems. All you do is just sit at a typewriter and bleed. And that's from Ernest Hemingway. And of course, maybe for Ernest Hemingway, he may have actually bled literally, but for many of us, the bleeding is metaphorical. Why? Well, because you're straining your bandwidth, your intellectual bandwidth, your emotional bandwidth, your creative bandwidth, and you've got to punch back. The punching is your way of fighting back against that typewriter and even parts of your psyche. The words will punch you, and your consciousness will certainly punch you. So you've got to rage against that typewriter, rage against that machine as you mold and make your message. To write is to enter the arena that is the intellectual and emotional boxing ring. Typing is that medium that we writers use to spar as literary boxers. We deploy that sweet science, but in all, you've got to tread carefully, from all in favor of keeping dangerous weapons out of the hands of fools. So let's start with typewriters, and that's from David Gerald. But for the brave and unfoolish, take that writing plunge, and it looks like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're definitely doing that. Let's see how the Gen Z and Gen Alpha typewriter enthusiasts are leading the way.
You might call it the sound of a rebellion. Young people in the Valley are buying old typewriters and using them as a creative escape from the distractions of computers and the internet.
As 12 News journalist Joe Dana shows us tonight, it's what good old-fashioned typewriters do not do that's attracting this younger generation.
When Max Johnson brought his grandfather's 1964 Smith Corona to school last year,
I inherited it rummaging through a closet of his old things.
It was a novelty.
Other people were like, whoa, a typewriter.
Max was tapping into something else, a generation interested in a machine because of what it does not have. No power cord, no internet connection, no temptation to jump online, no AI prompts.
With computers, there's distractions everywhere, and if you have ADHD like me, you could get nothing done with a typewriter. It's just you and the keys.
I have customers from probably 8 years old on up.
The Mesa Typewriter Exchange has been here since 1947.
Right now I probably have 20 plus machines waiting to be repaired.
Unlike Bill Wall's grandfather, who started the company, Bill's business is driven by collectors.
I would say half my customer base is probably under 30. A lot of them, big vocabulary, they seem to have a high IQ. A lot of them are homeschooled, they're very creative.
This recent Type-In event at the Chandler Library, organized by 21-year-old Jeremiah Bukowski.
I like analog stuff. It's a lot more real than a computer, and I like how it's part of history. I like how they sound, I like how they feel, I like how they smell.
Collectors bring in their favorites.
There's a mystique to the typewriter. Young people love typewriters. You know, sometimes you can't even pry bar them off these machines.
Kids try them out for the first time.
I love bread.
What's it like to write something that's permanent? You can't go back and change it.
I think it would make me a bit nervous, hoping to make no errors.
But permanence can be a positive.
I'm the typewriter kid.
Max takes his typewriter to school every day, using it for special projects. During free time, he recently typed up one-of-a-kind letters to a local legislator and his girlfriend.
With a typewriter, what you said is what you said, and nothing can change that.
As for the cost of a refurbished manual typewriter, it's a wide range. They can go anywhere from under $100 up to $1,000. Joe Dana, 12 News.
what you said is what you said, and nothing can change. And I agree, there is something about the finality of typing. It's hard copy, it's black letters on white pages or whatever other colored page that you've inserted into the typewriter. That particular iteration, it just lasts. It's there. It's kind of like a generation, I was going to say. So I love that. And here on this channel, on OBL, it's all about writing our way to a better life. And that means being literate. And that could be financially literate, emotionally literate, professionally literate. Essentially, we want to be more self-aware, and we want to make our best last for the long haul. So here's our place to reflect. And one thing I've got for you is, do you want a typewriter? Have you ever had one? Do you know someone who does, because they are making a comeback? Do you think that typewriters would help you to become a writer? You know, I have that typewriter I told you about, and I want to write poetry on it specifically. And I don't know if that's like Ginsberg influence, or if that's something from Walt Whitman, or if it's even something from Langston Hughes. I'm not sure, but there's an aesthetic about it. And like I said, an earnestness and a finality to it. It's another part of that analog arsenal, because I'm hearing how Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they also want dumb phones. They don't want distractions from apps. They want to just use the phone for the original intention. The typewriter, it's that original instrument specifically for writing. And what else do you use that helps you to clear the clutter and to be able to focus? I'd love to know. So put that in the comments for sure. By the way, did you catch that girl that said that she loved bread?
I love bread.
This is the joy for me. I love bread.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if you do or not, but I definitely do. And it makes me remember Outback and how they have the really nice dark brown rye loaf of bread, I think it was. Or getting those rolls from Texas Roadhouse, and they had like a cinnamon butter, although I'd much rather have like vegan butter now, but nevertheless, I remember how good that all was. So having a little bit of bread is great sustenance as you write. You're sustaining your soul as you write, sustaining the overall body when you're eating. You put those two things together, and I can't see how there's a problem with that. And as you process all sorts of things, creative and all sorts of things that relate to sustenance, I'd love to speak at your school, your nonprofit, and your college, and talking about the writing craft. And I draw on experience from teaching writing and publishing, and that includes my book, White Girl Within. And I'd also love to partner with you to potentially help to secure some typewriters for your school or for your place of work, so that you can engage in that analog arsenal and to get a little bit more creative. So let's strategize. At any rate, it's nice to see a brief truce in the intergenerational wars. It seems like there's lots of pitting of boomers against millennials, against Xers, against Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Zalpha, whatever it is. So it's nice to rally around a fine, majestic, tireless, and yet timely instrument, the typewriter. And that just might help us to reconnect and to rewild as we punch those keys. You gotta love that. Don't forget, send me a letter. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. See ya.